cigars all around. Cheers, y'all.
Well. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this fine little audio-video spectacle known across the globe as the world-famous Smoking and Toasting. Hey, Ian. What's up, bro?
What's going on, everybody?
It is so nice to have you guys on the program today as we start Smoking and Toasting number 181. The title of today's show, How to Deal with a Drunken Sailor During the Pandemic. And so we're very excited to be talking rum today because we've got our special guest, Greg Doxakis from Plantation Rum. And so, Dox, I always get confused, and we call him Dox. Oh, I love the banana. That's great. I'm getting banana notes.
Is this unprofessional? I don't even know anymore.
No. Nobody really knows, actually. So is it correct? Is it Pierre Ferrand or is it Maison Ferrand? Which is the way you say the name of the parent company?
Parent company is Maison Ferrand.
Maison Ferrand. Okay. And so where am I getting Pierre Ferrand from? Is that one of the brands?
Well, Pierre Ferrand is our label of cognac, our label of 100% Grand Champagne cognac. We actually do a couple other smaller cognacs that are not 100% Grand Champagne, but Pierre Ferrand is the 100% Grand Champagne, and of course, the flagship of the company. Though I'll let you on a little secret, the name Pierre is going away. It's just going to be called Cognac Ferrand soon.
Oh, really interesting. Well, the reason that stuck in my head is because of the many hours I've spent staring at that bottle while, enjoying what was inside it. So anyway, welcome to the show, Docs.
What do y'all think of my glasses?
I like them.
These are my Tony Stark glasses. These are from Civil War right here. Hold on, wait. All right, I got. Oh, these are from Infinity War. Huh?
I'm digging from what you're rapping.
And these are my real glasses, so I can see y'all guys now.
Well, the appearance of the others was definitely worth it. So I'm snipping the top of my cigar, which I'll get to in a minute. But we do want to let you know that our program is brought to you by B&B Butchers and Restaurant at 1814 Washington Ave in Houston, in the shops at Clear Fork in Fort Worth, BB Italia on Memorial in Houston, BB Lemon on Washington Ave, Annie Cafe and Bar on Post Oak Boulevard in Houston. And now we've had people asking us, is B&B still open and doing, curbside and stuff during the craziness? And the answer is yes, they are. So not only can you go and do what Ian likes to do, which is, order an uncooked steak and bring it home and slap it on the grill.
Buddy.
You can also have them prepare it for you, and then you can bring it home and pretend that you slapped it on the grill. And it'll have to be the latter option for me, because even though I can see, Ian, you've got some cooking paraphernalia there behind you in your backyard, I'm up on the 32nd floor, so we can't have grills here. We do have some really nice grills in my building, but they're on the pool level, and all that area is closed right now. So I am unfortunately not able to grill during this time of the pandemic. But, I can still drink, so that's the important part.
Well, you take some and you lose some. You also have a grocery store at the bottom floor where you can just go get beer.
This is true, and that's a pretty important thing. So,
and you can do that in pajamas.
Yeah, that's right. And I have, which should frighten everyone on the show.
No. So, Ian, those are leisure robes. Leisure robes are not pajamas. Leisure robes.
That's right.
They're size royalty.
Maybe that's what I'll wear next week.
So, Docs, how's the pandemic been impacting you? Obviously, most stores selling your product are still open, but how has it affected what you do on a daily basis? So.
I've been telling people that it's a very unique feeling. You feel like there's so much to do, but not a lot you can do. So what I do with Maison Ferrand, is more than just the actual presentation. That sort of thing. That is my favorite part. But there is plenty to do, and it's a lot about communication, staying in touch with not only the store owners, but also with people that are with the bars. That's been my biggest concern, is trying to stay in touch with them, seeing what I can do for them. And again, there's not a lot we can do, but what we can, we do try to do. There's a lot of people that I care about, that we care about, that are going through some tough times right now, with no foreseeable end. I hope I'm wrong about that. I hope it ends sooner than later. But there's a lot of people we care about. They're not just our customers; they're our friends, and we're very concerned for all of them.
We've talked a lot about that in the last few weeks on the show. That if you are, if you're someone that has a favorite bar, favorite restaurant, and if you're still gainfully employed, this is the time. A favorite brewery, a favorite distillery. This is the time to make sure that you're finding ways to make purchases from those guys. Do something to help support them. Bars especially are in just such a tough place. And even when this comes back, I think it's going to be slow because we're still going to be distancing a bit. So
a little bit, but right now, what I'm encouraging is get in touch with your favorite bars and get T-shirts. What I'm wearing right now is the Rabbit's Got the Gun. I don't know if you guys have been out there yet. They're on the north side. Houston Watch Company, Johnny's Gold Brick. Just you name it. Up and we've been doing that trivia. Those Iron Man glasses you saw, where it's a little sneak peek for this Friday's trivia. My wife and I have been doing drinks and trivia with the Doxakis guy.
I saw that. I got to clock on to the next one.
Yeah, well, it's got to be Friday at 8:00. But that Saturday night we did a trivia on Disneyland. And we gave away to the top 5 winners T-shirts from The Usual, which is a really great cocktail bar in Fort Worth. And all the money from those T-shirts goes to support the staff. And we'll put the website on there, let them know, hey, if you like it, go order your own. This Friday night, we're going to be supporting Houston Watch Company, which their T-shirt's one of my favorites. But this one, I'm digging this one. And by the way, if you guys not been to Rabbit's Got the Gun yet, you want to tell Mary this? They're doing pineapple Dole whips. With OFTD Plantation. Once they get back. Once they get back open. Once they get back up, it means one of the first places you can stop at. I guys will enjoy that.
If you know of any places that are doing, curbside, I know some of them are doing curbside cocktails. They had some of their cocktail to go kits. Yeah. We had Mark Burrell, our wine expert, on from the Rainbow Room last week, and Mark was talking about, in addition to being able to pick up bottles of wine there. At their to-go, they also would make cocktail kits for certain cocktails.
Well, and you remember we decided to call that the Take and Shake.
Yeah, the Take and Shake. I like that. So anyway, do what you can to support these guys, man. Your favorite bartender, that one that listened to all your crappy stories last time you were there, that person's not working, and it's important to do what we can to keep our friends and coworkers.
I take offense to that. My stories only get better the drunker I get.
This is
every time I retell them throughout the same night, they get better.
Yes. And Ian, this is one of the reasons that we occasionally love to let the show go really long, because you get more and more entertaining as the show goes on. So, what you smoking there, buddy?
This is a Balmoral. I'm trying to take the label off, and it's fighting me a little bit, but it's a Balmoral. Let's see if I can get it up there on the camera.
Mm-hmm.
This is the Duetto.
I was smoking a Chiquita, but I'm having a hard time keeping it lit.
I think it starts off with a lot of campfire and toast.
Yeah.
And a little bit of pepper going on, and I'm just barely into it. It's I feel like I've been smoking it for a little bit longer than this, but apparently it's going to be a little bit slower smoke. So I'm pretty excited about this. This was in the batch that I got from Alan Denny a couple weeks ago. He put together a really nice box of cigars for me that had a mix of really good stuff in it. So I know he generally won't send me in the wrong direction. Although he's still a little upset about the whole Malort thing that I did to him.
Yes, he is, and I don't blame him, because when you did the Malort thing to me, that was like a year ago. I'm still upset about it now. So I don't.
I know. I got you twice with that too.
Holding a bit of a grudge, yeah. So, toast and
Doc's got a big laugh. Have you enjoyed the Malort before?
Sure. It's not the superlative I would use, but yeah, I've had it. Yeah.
You've been able to you've been able to try it. So yes, yeah.
My friend that gave me that bottle said, "No, it's not bad. It's difficult to appreciate."
Well, I still, one of the funniest things I've ever heard is, and I don't know where you got this from, Ian, but the place where you got the potential slogans.
Oh, that was a Thrill List article.
Oh yeah, and the best one of the bunch was Malort. Tonight's the night you fight your dad.
Yeah, that was all the fan slogans.
Yeah.
One of the ones was, "Lord, these pants won't shit themselves."
So Ian, you mentioned you're getting a campfire and what was the other thing you said on your Balmoral?
Campfire and toast, buddy, with a little nuttiness in the background.
Nice.
This is very opposite from what I usually choose for a cigar, flavor profile wise. You know, I like the more coffee and chocolatey, a little bit of pepper and spice kind of thing. This is on the lighter side. I'd say it's probably on the lighter side of medium, maybe a medium minus, if you will. And but I'm still on the initial light of it, which had a bit of pepper in it, and I don't know if that's going to settle down just yet.
Mm-hmm.
What did you light up over there?
Well, I was just going to mention, I saw what Dox was smoking, and I'm willing to bet he's getting some banana notes.
Yeah, it's a little bit of
some tropical fruit,
slightly overripe banana. I'm getting just a hint of banana peel. Yeah.
That makes sense. Yeah. That makes sense.
Having a hard time keeping that.
I went cheap today, and I lit up a Mayorga Gordita Torpedo, which I clipped the end off of with my ultra cool cigar scissors. And
made me so jealous.
That's all right. Think of it as payback for the wireless mic. So I got this. This was a mail order. I got it in a group of things from JR Cigar. And I remember thinking, I'd had these before, but I hadn't had one in a long time. Mayorga is best known for their coffee. They make a coffee that's actually very popular in certain parts of the country. I believe their coffee beans are grown in Nicaragua, and that's where the cigar is from as well. And it's a really inexpensive cigar. It's $3 to $4. I think it's about $3.25 for this one, and it kind of smokes like one of the big boys. It's got, as you might expect, some real coffee and chocolate notes. It's got a little of that Nicaraguan pepper. I'd say it's probably medium plus, at least so far. But it's got a really decent amount of complexity to it for a cigar that is in the under $5 range, that's for sure.
Now, that's not one of the knockoffs, though, right?
No, this is actually from Mayorga. They make coffee and a line of cigars. I will say I've only seen this mail order. I don't know if I've ever seen one of these in a cigar shop anywhere. But it's one I tried years ago because it was inexpensive. And you know how you go through that ordering some of the cheaper cigars and you very quickly learn not to order some of them again. But
some of them, but some of them very bad.
But this was one that not only did I, reorder a time or two, but, recently got a batch of things that had some of these in them, and I was excited. So I thought I'd smoke one on the show today. And I got to tell you, so far, it's keeping pace with plenty of $8 and $9 cigars. So I know we haven't been doing a lot of price to quality stuff since we started doing the show live via Skype like this, but I would say this one would definitely be punching above its weight in price to quality, at least so far. So again, largely because the price is so reasonable. So.
I don't know what this one costs. If I was going to guess, it's in the $6 to $8 range.
That seems about right.
It's smoking pretty well, and I'm starting to pick up some like cappuccino kind of notes on the tail end of it. It's been pretty good.
So, a couple of things I wanted to talk about on the show today. Docs, we're seeing the craft beer industry in a bit of a tailspin. After having a great year last year, the craft beer industry is really kind of struggling with because so much of the craft sales come directly from the breweries and their tap rooms themselves, and they come from the bars that will have taps from somebody. And so a lot of the craft breweries still don't have inroads to be in your local grocery store or your, even in some cases, even into a Specs for a Total Wine or whatever your local, mega liquor retailer is. Has any of that been creeping its way into the spirits industry from what you can see?
Well, I would say that there, we use that word craft a lot, and a lot of times I think people confuse craft with super. Just it's sometimes it's too geeky and intimidating for some people. So I think that when we say that, it's hard to gauge really what's so much between that and what's going on with the craft beer world, because I think that it's not that they can't buy it at the liquor stores. It's that when they go to get the crafty stuff, when I say like super, super crafty, like Malort's, okay, like the super geeky stuff, it's only used at the bars. No one's pulling it off the shelves. Our products...
Except for Ian.
But our products, we're fortunate enough that we have general market appeal and craft appeal. And sales are up on the retail side across the board for general market items, but it's down obviously for on premise, so it doesn't quite even out. For us.
Yeah.
But so we're lucky in that sense that it's not as bad as it could be. But for things that are super like say chartreuse, Malort, I'm trying to think a lot of your small village mezcals and that sort of thing. 80% of their business was in bars, and it's affecting them big time. And not just the brands, but the people. There's been some people let go, some brand ambassadors and that sort of thing that worked for some smaller niche brands. There's just no business for them right now. So yeah, that's a thing.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of hard to do the brand ambassador thing when you can't, set up your tasting nights in bars and restaurants and things like that. So I can see where in the smaller companies that are seeing a bigger, cut into their sales, I can see where that can be a tough thing to keep everyone on. It really can. Again, we talked about our friends and people that we know in the industry that are, that are going through some tough times, and it can be from all corners of the beverage and cigar industry. Cigar industry hanging in better than most. I think, but as of right now, the cigar factories in Honduras and Nicaragua are shut down. And
that's weird. Because it's funny. I was looking at the numbers just this morning at the various countries, the island countries that produce rum and that sort of thing, and these are the same countries that produce quality cigars, two you just named, and their cases are like in only double digit.
Right.
So I don't know if it's because they have low numbers because they shut everything down, or if it's I don't want to say an overreaction, but a strong reaction. They're being safe. I don't know, but Barbados. When obviously we have a huge stake in Barbados. They shut the whole island down. No ships in, no ships out, no planes in, no planes out. They even closed the grocery stores for a week. That's last we heard. That may have changed. They may have reopened, but for about a minute there, they had everything closed. Well, it's not a huge island. Not a lot of people.
Speaking of Barbados, I'm sitting here looking at 2 bottles of Plantation Barbados rum, and I have to say, Dox, you have really raised the bar for guests on the Skype version of the show, because one of the things
mercy, yes, you have.
One of the things Ian and I were lamenting just last week, we were chatting, was that one of the fun things about being in the studio is when you guys would come in and guest, you bring excuse me, you bring stuff with you for us to taste. And now I'm like, if we want to taste stuff, now we've got to make a trip to the liquor store. But lo and behold, after we scheduled Dox to be on the show, some bottles of Plantation Barbados rum showed up in a delivery, and I made sure to get some over to Ian. So we'll all actually be tasting the same things today. So that'll be
that was courtesy of our good friends at Specs. They have an app, Not all of their stores, but most of their larger stores are delivering. And the one that came to you was obviously from downtown. But I ordered something for my brother from the Wesleyan store just yesterday as well. The one down here near my house, about a few miles down on Sugar and Highway 6, is delivering. So you just go to the app, you put your address in, and it'll tell you where they have one delivering it to you, and they'll bring it to you.
That is awesome.
I know what they're doing. It's a little bit more expensive, but it's like Grubhub or something like that. What's is that the one that delivers food?
Grubhub.
But right now convenience.
Right, and I will say too that Specs is also doing curbside, because when I was in there last, I saw they had several parking spots set up for curbside, and people were pulling up. It really, I almost stopped to video it because there's something about it I just found enjoyable to watch. People pulling up in their car, rolling down the windows, and someone handing them liquor. It was awesome, It was just awesome.
You just described high school for me.
Speaking of liquor, Docs, we haven't commented since we actually went on the air about your awesome backdrop there. But can you turn around? Yeah. So look at all the Plantation rums, Ian. Oh my God. How many are back there?
I know. It's beautiful, isn't it?
There's close to 50.
Absolutely beautiful.
They're color-coded, I see several that I recognize, some that I do not.
I'm going to move my camera. You want me to move in just a little bit? Want to see a little better? Mm-hmm. All right, the risk of showing my messy bar here. So you'll see there's some old favorites. That's a new one we're going to talk about today. Can you see that okay?
Yeah. What is that?
That's the Isle of Fiji, brand new, baby. See all that?
Okay.
I drink all that last night.
You've been sampling.
This is something we only get in France called Grand Reserve, which is a it's a younger version of the 5-year. Of course, is a Mica. Brand Anejo, 2 expressions. One was Guatemala, one was Guatemalan Belize. But over here we have everything you see with the black label. Those are going to be those single casks we talk about that are various islands with the triple finishes and that sort of thing. Up here you will find vintages from all different countries with different years, lots of Jamaica, Panama, and up here we have what's called the black, I call them the black labels. It's older versions of our single cask. And over here are some of the very first plantation vintages we used to do. In fact, countries we don't do business with anymore, including Nicaragua and Grenada.
Wow.
Yeah, Docs, I just have to say, I really enjoyed that, because one of the things I really miss from going out is that moment when you walk into the bar and you just take in their shelf of bottles and that enjoyable process of looking through and deciding what you're going to get, so that gave me a wonderful little flashback to it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Well,
before you started that, you made a statement. You said, at the risk of showing your messy bar, I feel like if your bar is messy, you're using it. That's probably a good thing, right?
Yeah.
That's where work gets or not.
You know what? It's kind of like the thing, like you don't want a table like right by the kitchen door, because you just kind of throw everything there, and next thing you know, you got everything old laundry, things you're buying from your car. It's like that.
I had a house years ago that had a pool table, or a thing that held all the mail that ever came in.
Yes, exactly.
The laundry table. Sure.
That's how you do it. By the way, I was just thinking about, this is the show so far has gone relatively well in terms of just the technical side of it. And a big thanks to Adam, our producer on the Wheels of Steel. But I was just going to mention that, everybody's dealing with, unless you're doing something that's pre-recorded, and, we do record this show and it's available later, but we do it live so that we've got, a live feed going out at 1 o'clock on Thursdays. And anyway, I was just going to point out that everybody's dealing with, I was listening to a Howard Stern interview. He had Tom Brady on, and, Brady's connection cut out like 5 times. I thought, well, if it's happening to Howard Stern, I guess we got to feel pretty good about how we've handled the technical side of things here so far, You
just got to handle the brakes as best you can.
That's the position everybody's in,
You guys have
The best part is when you're on there with a friend and then you just freeze in place and act like your computer's frozen.
That's good. I haven't tried that. I love that idea. That's just doing it now. That's good.
just to see how they react.
So good. That's so good.
That actually that reminds me of a dirty joke. Can I tell it?
Sure.
That's not too dirty.
Yeah.
Okay, so like there's this redneck couple, all right, and they're in mid relations, shall we say? And all of a sudden, the guy stops, and the lady says, "Why'd you stop?" He goes, "I saw this on the internet. It's called buffering."
That's good. I like it. So that joke's good enough. I think that it's time to start on the rum.
Yes, let's wash the taste of that joke out of our mouths, shall we?
So are we starting with the 5-year, Docs?
Yeah, let's start the 5-year. And
Okay.
I say, I always say this is the first chapter of Plantation rum.
Okay.
It is from Barbados, from our facilities there at the West Indies Rum Distillery in Barbados. It is 5 years old. It's going to spend 3.5 to 4 years in a bourbon barrel in Barbados, and 1.5 years in a cognac barrel back in France. Like all Plantation rum, it's going to make the trip all the way to France and get aged longer in our cognac Ferrand barrels. The nose on this one, you're going to get a little bit of the alcohol, that ethyl alcohol on the nose. It's very deceiving. Though it's only 80 proof, it smells like a stronger rum. But once you let it breathe and open up a little bit, you're going to get that. What a lovely sound! What a reassuring sound! The squeak of a cork.
Yes.
Once you let it open up a little bit, you're gonna get that tropical notes. You'll get definitely you'll get the wood, that slight char from the bourbon barrels, and that toast from the cognac barrel. Those tropical notes that are so distinct to Barbados rum. And on the palate, you're going to get just that slight touch of coconut that you get, from our Barbados rums, and it's just very hint.
Dutch, do you have since you deal with quite a lot of rums in your line from quite a lot of different destinations, do you have a personal favorite country for the rum to come from? Is there one that stands out to you? Barbados or Jamaica or?
I don't have a favorite. It's I'm a creature of moods sometimes, and just depends on what I'm in the mood for. Our Barbados rums are I would say the most dependable in the sense of same flavor profile, bottle in, bottle out. That makes sense. As opposed to some of our other vintages, because it was a different vintage. And I'm speaking about, with countries like Guyana, countries like St. Lucia, Haiti, which we've done before, and now Fiji. Those other ones, you're not going to get that same continuity year in, year out, because it's a vintage. With most of our Barbados line right here, the 5-year and the XO, you're going to have the same flavor profile, bottle in, bottle out.
But remind me again what the retail is on the 5-year?
This one, SRP about $25. Yeah.
I've got to tell you, and Ian, you back me up on this or not, but I don't know if I can think of a finer spirit that you can buy for $25. It's just, it really is an exceptional. If you were to just pour this into a glass, and I were to taste it, and you were to tell me it was a $40 or $50 rum, I wouldn't bat an eye, because that's how it tastes to me. And again, there's not that many $40 or $50 rums. There's a lot more that are, I feel like, that are under. Well, maybe there are. But
there is, and there's more coming.
It feels like most of the rums you see on the shelf are under $50.
I will say this: compared to the whiskey market, or say the whiskey category, the higher end rums are much more affordable than higher end whiskeys. That I'll say.
Well, this one, you could easily pass this off, I think, as a more expensive rum. And
we're not suggesting that you raise the price on it either.
No, not at all.
But I got to tell you, this is delightful. The heat in this, for any of you out there that are afraid to ever just drink rum neat, meaning no ice, no water, no Coca-Cola, This is absolutely fantastic. Just like this. This is room temperature, outside temperature, whatever the temperature is out here. And the heat on this is so smooth that you don't even notice the heat until it comes back and gives you that little warm, what I like to call the whiskey hug, but in this case, apparently it's a rum hug. And the flavor profile on this is absolutely wonderful. Like, I don't know if it's because you were having a banana earlier, but I get a lot of banana right on the nose.
No, for sure.
And you
that's definitely a tasting note. There's lots of tropical flavors in Barbados rum for sure.
Ian, I'll just mention that what you refer to as the whiskey hug, which of course is appropriate for whiskey. In this case, I would call this the hug from a drunken sailor. That's where I would go.
Well, I'm pretty sure that's how the whole COVID-19 thing started anyway.
I'm pretty sure you're right.
That might have been ground zero right there.
Station zero. Thank you for the rum.
I love the flavors on this. There's a light kiss of molasses all the way through it. There's that tropical fruit, the banana, the hint of coconut that you mentioned is right there. And it's not a sweet coconut flavor, retrohale. It's nice, natural kind of flavors. Yet the really nice sweetness. It's not a cloying either. It's just
Ian,
absolutely.
I don't know if Doc's got all of that because you were breaking up a little earlier on my end, but it sounded like you were really enjoying that.
Truly enjoying it. I don't know why, but I'm truly enjoing this.
How many of you had it? Because you were slowing your speech a little bit there. It was kind of choppy.
But you're absolutely right. There is a hint of banana in this.
Stuff.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, when we get to the 20, the XO, you should know that I already had a bottle. So Ian got a brand new bottle. But Docs, this isn't just like since it arrived, since you sent these. I just wanted you to know this has been in my bar.
I don't judge. I'm going to show you something.
You got set up early this morning.
We'll touch on this a little bit later, but this is one of our new ones, and this was a full bottle last night. It's about a half. That was all this guy right here.
What has two thumbs and loves Fiji rum? This guy.
Well, it was such nice weather. We have a nice fire pit out back, and so I cooked some fish over the grill, and we just decided to use the last of probably this season's firewood. So one of my favorite things in the world is to sit around our campfire at Bourbon in France and sample a nice rum. So there was just no going back. So I settled into the chair and enjoyed myself last night.
Hey, Docs, did you guys see an initial surge in the sales of your plantation pineapple right around the time that the lockdowns were starting to happen? Because if you did, that was my wife and I. I went to Specs and we decided, just in case they shut down Specs, which obviously they're not going to do, but just in case, we stocked up. So you're welcome.
Thank you, sir. No question about it. We're gonna,
that's
well. So that I know we're joking a little bit, but that was a concern of ours. We didn't know if we were able to continue production, and Alexander is very proud of the team that they are still working. They're being very careful, keeping space where they can, keeping everything clean, including themselves. But we are still making spirits back in France and getting those out where we can.
Have you seen any slowdown in the in grapes and other things that you use in your other spirits that come from the European areas?
No. Right now, the only slowdown is going to be sizes, liters. Liters are slower because that's what the bars use, and just the bars are closed. Other than that, it's been we're fortunate enough to still have a good outlet of sales. And we talked about what they're doing in France, but also in Barbados. Those guys are still working right now. Actually, in France and Barbados, they are producing hand sanitizer alcohol around the clock.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And we've seen that in a lot of the distilleries, even just around the Houston area, and I've seen stories from all over the country from American whiskey distilleries and other places that a lot of them have shifted into hand sanitizer. Some helping to restock the shelves at local grocery stores, and some, quite frankly, are donating it to first responders and people like that. So
I think it was, didn't the Whitmires guys donate a bunch to Houston hospitals?
Yeah,
I believe that's correct. Yeah.
As of a couple weeks ago, it was over 6,000 gallons.
Yeah. I'm glad they are, because you have to ask the people on Purell, how hard is it to make more hand sanitizer? I mean, I've never made gel and hand sanitizer, but this, if we can crank out good rums and cognacs and gins, they can't make a hand gel. I don't know. I don't understand it.
It seems like one of the simpler things to make, because you don't have the aging process. So, but yeah, absolutely. Ian, one of the things, as you know, that I always love about rums and so many of the plantation rums in particular, is how easily they seem to pair with cigars. How's the 5-year working with your Balmoral?
Absolutely fantastic. My Balmoral has settled into kind of a nutty and spicy with a little hint of cappuccino on the end, and has become just an absolutely delicious, especially in its price point, cigar. And I wasn't much of a fan of rum before we started this show, and you've turned me on to a lot of good rums. Matter of fact, I think since we started this show, I've only had one bad rum, and it'll go nameless, and I didn't bring it on the show.
I remember it.
Come on, man, just tell us.
It didn't go nameless at the time, so you can search back through the old shows and find it. So.
Does it still exist? Are they still making it?
Ian, yeah, it's a currently available rum, right? I'm trying to remember actually which one it was. Yeah. Well, yeah,
I think so. I have.
There's certainly some rums out there that are, you may taste them and go, yeah, this isn't really a sipping rum. This would be fine in cocktails, but not really a sipping rum. And that's
before you turn me on to the world of way better rum, I just didn't have any real experience with it. Rum to me was, your big brand spiced rum,
right,
with its caricatures and all that other stuff, and it just, to me, wasn't very good. There were a few that I've had that I thought were interesting, and some that are great in mixers, like a Kraken and Dr. Pepper is a pretty mighty thing.
It really is, yeah.
No. I used to mix Kraken and root beer. Kraken and root beer.
Oh,
I bet
that would work. I've done it with Dr. Pepper, but I've never done it with root beer. I bet that would work. So, yeah, you're right.
We used to do Sailor Jerry and Dr. Pepper. We called it a spicy pepper.
So what's amazing, though, is you say this 5-year is $25-ish. I mean, that's $5 to $7 more than most of those other rums.
Yeah.
And it's amazing all by itself.
But here's the thing. When we talk about rum as a category, it's very loosely defined sometimes, because we're talking about Kraken and Sailor Jerry. These are spice rums. It's a whole different category. To me, in my opinion, that's sort of like comparing Fireball to bourbon. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's your thing and that's what you enjoy, then that's great. But what we're seeing is a resurgence of rums that can be mixed in cocktails, but obviously they can be enjoyed by themselves. And you said, because every time that we come out with a plantation, and clearly we got a lot of them, there's always that, is it a good sipping rum? I'm like, yeah, every single one of these I enjoy to sip. And quite frankly, every single one of them I mix cocktails with. One of my favorites, right now is the Jamaica. That's our Jamaican cousin to the 5-year. About the same price. But this it's a dry rum. It's nice by itself, but it makes the kind of cocktails, and I like whiskey cocktails. So I'm not like about the daiquiris, which daiquiris are delicious, but I'm more along the lines of a whiskey cocktail, so I'll do like a Manhattan with these.
That is a Jamaica.
So this one about the same price. In fact, we're kind of getting out there in the liquor store market. In fact, M&R Liquor out there on the west side, they're bringing it in this week. That's out there in the burbs. Neighborhood liquor stores are really starting to get into this one as well. Yeah.
I think it's the
And
Micah you had on the last time you were on the show when we talked rum, and I enjoyed it tremendously. I'm amazed. Like at this again, I don't mean to harp on the price point, but the price point is this is easily a mixable. You don't feel bad about mixing this at this price point. I bet this makes an amazing daiquiri or rum based cocktail, and it's this good by itself, which I think all a plus all the way around.
For sure.
Yeah.
This one's nice with an old fashioned, but I tell you what, the real deal for the old fashioned, that's the 20th anniversary. That's the second bottle.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
That's the next one we're going to try. Well, that's awesome.
I haven't even opened mine yet. I had to hide this from my wife.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
And as you can tell, I have opened mine. But again, in fairness, been in my bar for a little while, so it's only about a half gone. That's not a bad thing. Ian, I thought I'm having a hard time tearing myself away from this 5 years. So if you and I don't try a beer now, I'm going to wind up pouring myself more of this. So maybe we should move to the beer. God, this is good, Dox. And I'll just say this, by the way. There are, Ian, I like Axe Hat. That sounds awfully like something that I say sometimes, but slightly different.
If you can't see that, this is a picture of a Viking with a traditional Viking helm and a hatchet stuck into, or an axe stuck into the top of it.
Like
and
it says, over Eureka Heights.
A Valhalla-worthy Quebec Pale Ale.
Nice.
And of course, this is Eureka Heights, so they're going to say something on the side of the can, and it says, Great Odin's Raven, this Norwegian-style Kvik, I don't know how to pronounce that, Pale Ale, is stuffed with is stuffed to the Molineer with Idaho's 7 hops, great for hanging out on a patio or defending the world from the forces of evil. I'm not entirely sure that's what Vikings did, but I like that they put that little twist on it.
Yes, I agree with you. That may not have been the primary occupation of Vikings. Well, Ian, you got that down, man. That sounded great. I would just say that even though the video quality of our show, may have tapered off a little as we've gone into Skype, the natural sound effects part of the show, I feel like has maintained a certain amount of quality. So
look how clean and crisp and wonderful this looks.
Ian, that's definitely a pale ale, not just in name, but it is actually a very pale color as well. So.
It's hoppy with a little bit something else going on.
Yeah.
You can smell a little bit of the malt profile already right from the nose too.
So while Ian's getting ready to sample that, I will mention that we did our first Smoking and Toasting virtual Smoke Fest last Saturday on Zoom, and it was a success. Even though I sent out some incorrect information on the initial Facebook thing, and some people tried to get on that couldn't. But it was enough of a success that we had a good time. We're going to do another one. I'll tell you more about that. It's going to be not this coming Saturday, but a week from this coming Saturday. So I'll tell you about that in a moment. But that was a beer that our producer Adam was drinking on our little Zoom get-together. And he was liking it a lot. So I'm curious, Ian, as to your take on the Axe Hat.
This is crisp and delicious and perfect for sitting out here right now in the patio having a cigar. It's hoppy enough to where it has such a crisp and clean finish, but it's not so hoppy that it leaves you with any bitterness in the mouth. It's really nice. It actually goes pretty well after the rum.
Nice.
Well,
nice.
So I would highly recommend this if you're looking for something crisp and delicious, and like it has almost like an apple kind of snap to the finish on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's really interesting, and a little just enough malt profile up front to make it a tiny bit sweet, have some flavor.
How does it hold up with the cigar?
Well, in real time, it holds up very well.
Good.
Hey, would you say the ABV was in that one?
It's 5.5. 5.3, sorry. on the label there.
So I'm going to open one up, and Dox, I see you are drinking that new rum. So I want to hear about that in a moment. But first, I'm going to open up item number, I don't want to say 8 or 9 in my ongoing series of why you never need to drink a Bud Light again, ever, for any reason. And it is Firestone Walker's newest craft beer, the Flyjack. It's a hazy IPA, 96 calories, 5 carbs, and this is brand new. Just hit the market. It's a 4%, so it's not huge in the ABV department, but it's a hazy, and we will. Oh, you know what? I keep doing that. I keep opening the beer on the wrong side.
That's okay. We heard it just fine.
Over here. You heard it. Okay, good. So it's a citrus, hazy, crisp, and then, of course, has the Firestone Walker slogan, beer before glory, which I like.
When you've got companies like Firestone Walker and Dogfish Head and all the other ones that are making these low-cal, light craft beer, you'd almost be just foolish not to try them when you see them. Just for trying something different.
For us, this really began with the Founders All Day IPA, and then what is the one from? Was it Lagunitas? The one with the nail, the bent nail on the can. There's so many good, tasty beers that are lower in calories, and this one now from Firestone Walker. You mentioned Dogfish Head. That one's great. And my favorite so far has actually been from a Houston area brewery. Has been Spindletap's 5% tint, which I think is
5% tint. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yes, which I think is just fantastic. So,
Dogfish is the slightly mighty, I think, is what they call it.
So this one, I can tell you, it doesn't give a lot on the nose. It just kind of smells like a beer, if that makes any sense. But there is a very interesting citrusiness to it. It's very different. It's not as hazy, juicy tasting as the 5% tint. I don't know. The flavor is just different, but I like it. It is extremely refreshing, and it's got this sort of different. I'm trying to think of the right way to describe it. It's got this sort of different citrus character to it. You can tell that it's got hops, but it is not an overly hopped beer at all. It's super refreshing. I mean, this would be a great summer beer if you're looking to be able to, drink an IPA when you're out, hanging out. I assume they'll let us back to the pools at some point, and once they do, this would be a great one to have poolside.
It sounds like we kind of went the same route with our first beers there.
I think so. It'll be interesting to see if we go the same route with our second one.
So guys, I was thinking, and I'm always impressed by the names of these beers, and I think we need to come up with the formula. I think I just came up with it. And this will be the formula for what you will name your craft beer. It will be, it'll be the last thing you had for dinner, plus the last thing you bought at a store. For mine, it'll be Salmon Firewood IPA. How about that?
Okay, so the last thing you had for, I like that, but I would buy that just based on the name and try it.
So give me your craft beer based on the formula.
Mine's going to be called Euro Paper Towel. I'm pretty sure that's what it's going to be.
I'm not sure mine is as good. Mine would be enchilada baking powder.
That's pretty good. Well, I was thinking about my last store trip. I bought two things. I bought paper towels and butter. It could be Euro butter. That one's pretty funny too.
And that's the name of a band. Enchilada baking powder. Good night, everybody.
I woke up yesterday. I for whatever reason I do this, but I woke up yesterday with the perfect band name in my head. And I do this once in a while, and sometimes I even follow through and create a band that has that name. And so this one yesterday, I'm going to go ahead and give it up. I woke up with the band name Gregarious Johnson in my head.
That's good. That's good.
So I need to start a band and call it Gregarious Johnson.
That's
And
good.
that way, when a
First
report
album,
comes
Sight
up,
Unseen.
when the media comes up and says, "Okay, so Gregarious Johnson," we just look around and go, "All of ours."
I
Can I
like
tell
it.
you? That's awfully close to the Greek pronunciation of my first and middle name.
That does not surprise me somehow, Doc. So tell us a little bit about this new rum that you have been sipping while we were doing the beers here.
So this is going to be another cousin to the 5-year and the Jamaica. We call it our signature line. And this beautiful guy, can y'all see that okay?
Yeah, Isle of Fiji.
The Isle of Fiji.
Look at that.
It's a really pretty label, too.
Well, you know what? It is, and I think the way I described it, and I know this is not 100% correct terminology, but it's the closest thing I can think of. The flavor and the way the label looks, it's a real onomatopoeia, man. It tastes like it looks. You know what I mean? It's tropical. It's vibrant. But I'm going to tell you something. It's not a heavy rum. Not heavy on flavor, not heavy on alcohol. It's only 80 proof. And when I say it's not heavy on flavor, I don't mean that it's boring. It's not dull. But it certainly doesn't lean one way. It has a nice balance to it on the flavor. And it's got, I think, probably the most mouthfeel out of the three, between the 5 and the Jamaica and the Fiji, LBG. This one's not available in the United States yet. In the Texas market, fingers crossed, September. You know, if this whole thing hadn't happened, I probably would have had it on the next boat from France. It might push it back a few months. So fingers crossed, we'll see this one in our market come September. And we'll also have another Fiji vintage with a very similar label that's going to be a little bit, I think it's going to be stronger in proof, probably a little bit less dosage. And by the way, the dosage on this one is on the label. It is 16 grams per liter, which is, I think, if I remember quickly, it's 14 grams per liter on the 5-year, and it's 0 in Jamaica. So still not a ton. You know, again, we're just going for that salting effect. We're trying to take those flavors and bring those other flavors out. They're not necessarily sweeten the rum. You know?
So, Dux, will that be around the same price as the
Yes, it'll be a line price with the Jamaica and the 5-year. That's correct. Yeah.
I want to catch us up on a couple comments here on the Facebook Live. First off, Wiki Brian did a couple things for us. He put up that Thrill List article. There's a link to it in the comments for Malort if you're interested in that. Right, and then he also put up Kvik, a Norwegian yeast strain with bright fruit and rustic farmhouse characteristics. So
now this all makes sense. Yeah,
describing the beer that I had, awesome.
Wow, that's a real help. Thanks, Brian. Brian was on our chat, by the way, our virtual Smoke Fest, and I'll go ahead and let you know that our next one is going to be Saturday, April 25th at 1 p.m. Central Time. So that's 2 o'clock Eastern. And we had people from all over the country. We had people from New Mexico, Arizona, Michigan joined in on our chat last time. And
that was pretty awesome.
And we were all smoking and drinking. So this will be on Zoom, and we will post this in the show notes. And we will also post it on the Facebook page. And I'll have Adam post it on Instagram as well. As we're getting a little closer. But it'll be Zoom. The meeting ID will be 416-693-5409. And the password is 7E7D capital O and then lowercase u. And I'm going to show this to the camera if anybody wants to take a screenshot of that. Sorry for my chicken scratch, but that is the info. We will have this in the show notes. You'll be able to find it.
Now, is that the same? Is that the same logon as last time? Awesome, fantastic.
Yeah. So everything the same as last time. So if you've got that saved in your Zoom, you can very easily just click on it to join it again. So that'll be fun. I see another one in your hand there, brother.
Do we want to do the beer first and then the other rum, or do we want to do the other rum?
And we'll save the other rum for last.
Awesome. Let me show you what I got because I went with a theme this time.
Okay. Ooh, what is that? Skull Splitter. Okay. I have a feeling that's. I don't think I've ever seen that before. You?
It is a theme. Another Viking.
Yeah.
So I saw this. This is from the Orkney brewery in Scotland. It's called Skull Splitter. This is a Scotch ale, and Skull Splitter takes its name from Thorfinn. I can't even pronounce the last name. The 7th Viking Earl of Orkney.
Of course.
It says sophisticated, satiny smooth with a deceptively light character. It is a tribute to our colorful forebearer.
Nice.
So we're gonna try this.
All right.
Oh,
you got
I've covered up my camera is in the way of my bottle opener, so I'm gonna have to go this route.
You're gonna do au naturel.
Y'all know this.
Opener, right?
There we go.
It kind of sounded like you sliced the top off of the bottle there again.
He savored the beer.
Pocket knife has this little scratched up spots on the bottom.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to try this. I went with Axe Hatton and Skull Splitter. I figured that would be kind of a fun way to...
I love the theme. It's great. Great.
It's a pretty light-looking, reasonably light-looking for a Scotch ale. A lot of red, a lot of copper tones in there.
Right. Not as much of the darker sort of barrel-aged look to it, but...
It smells malty with a real kind of tight, focused hop on the background of it. Oh, I'm totally for it. Oh wow, this is malty sweet right up front. It's not terribly carbonated, so it's real smooth across the palate. It's malt deliciousness. This is a lot like what you get, almost like an Oktoberfest gone really big. It's got some spice to it. It's got really, really nice malt profile. It's really round.
Ian, is it lighter than some of the other Scotch ales you may have tried?
It tastes a little lighter. I don't know what the ABV is on it. It's not a real huge character. Oh, it has a great burnt caramel on the finish.
Mm-hmm.
That gets kind of knocked out. Like you swallow, you finish, you feel that, and then the hops take over and kind of clean the palate. Really interesting. I don't know what the ABV is on here. I don't see it. Then again, I don't have my glasses on. So
I would just mention that
obvious.
I'll just mention that the this hazy IPA, the 96-calorie hazy IPA that I had from Firestone Walker, is one of those reasonably rare IPAs that's going great with the cigar, with the Mayorga that I have been smoking. And the Mayorga is pretty heavy and earthy, but they aren't fighting each other at all. So that's been a very pleasant thing, because often the IPAs and the cigars are not the best pairings. I did want to, however, save a little bit of that cigar for my final beer here, which I'm excited to say I'll be trying the New Holland Brewing Dragon's Milk. This is bourbon barrel-aged stout at 11%. You've had this, so Ian, while I'm opening it, what
a few years back, I went to nice. A few years back, I went to Michigan for one of my cousin's weddings, and went into a store and they had that. Yes, and they had that. It was before they had the distribution down here, so I picked up a couple 6-packs of it, and it's absolutely fantastic. I think it's everything you expect it to be from what would be called Dragon's Milk.
It's from New Holland Brewery, which is in Holland, Michigan. They are a really fine, very well-respected craft brewery. They do a lot of stouts and sours and other things like that. I think I looked at their lineup on the web, and I think they had that one lager, one IPA, and then everything was either stouts or some interesting, unusual type of beers. And they actually have a whole separate website devoted to Dragon's Milk, and it comes in several different variations and specialties. This is the sort of standard, the flagship Dragon's Milk. It's a bourbon barrel-aged stout. Wow, the word that comes to mind on the nose is roasty. It's not. You can definitely get some coffee, but it's got that smell of when coffee beans are roasted, like when they're fresh roasted.
Oh, yeah.
It's more the roastiness that I get on the nose. It's wow. It's okay. So it's like I'm going to say roasty again because there's definitely notes of coffee, but it's not like a coffee infused. It's not like a heavy coffee or espresso flavor. It's more the roasted malt and barley that you're getting in this. It's delicious.
A lot of stouts have that roasted coffee flavor in them, and that's due to the malt being used in there.
Mm-hmm. It's not as a big a mouthfeel as I was expecting, which makes it a little more smooth. Very easy to drink for a stout, and I will just say that it's definitely got it's got the kind of quality that you could have this bottle and very easily reach for another one without feeling, even though it's bourbon barrel aged and it's 11%, it's not feeling quite like 11% when I drink it.
So are you getting char of the barrel because of the bourbon age? Do you get the char from the bourbon barrel? I'm curious.
Definitely on the finish, not necessarily up front, but on the finish is the first time really that you get any of the bourbon flavorings or that sort of charred wood flavoring. The toastiness, the roasted flavor up front is more like the roasted coffee beans, and then you get a creaminess kind of in the middle as it's on your palate, and then once you have swallowed it and you're kind of dealing with the finish, that's where you get some of the bourbon barrel flavors and that sort of charred oak sort of flavor comes into it. It's really good. And Ian, you're much more of an expert in stouts than I am, but I got to tell you, especially for someone's sort of flagship, not a special $30 bomber. This is highly recommended.
So that to me, you talk about the mouthfeel not being super big like you were expecting or thick like you were expecting, but it has a silkiness to it that rolls kind of across the tongue, and it's not overly carbonated in general. A couple comment updates. Wiki Brian put in a couple things. First off, my beer is 8.5%.
Thank you, Brian.
So he looked it up for us. And then he also mentioned that we should have had Mark Nichols on for this beer theme. We need to put Mark Nichols in the Viking helm.
In a Viking helmet. And just I think actually Mark would be a perfect guest for one of these Skype shows, because as you're looking at just the 3 or 4 blocks on the screen, Mark could just be with a Viking helmet on, shotgunning beers on his screen for the entire show. I think it would be awesome.
You'd have to get a wide angle lens.
He has a company that cleans the lines for bars and things.
I know Mark very well.
Oh, you know him then? Okay,
yeah,
so
that's why I said you have to get a wide angle lens.
He
For Skype.
was on one time, and when we're in the studio, we had him in between us, and we were sitting there talking about our cigars and stuff, and Mark got bored. So in the background, he's just sitting there on the main camera and takes his pocket knife, and he just shotguns a beer right there while we're talking about cigars.
Yep, that's my guy.
It got all over his beard. It was quite a spectacle. Quite a spectacle.
So hey, I want to tell you something. I'm reading the review for this one you're drinking, the Dragon's Milk, on Beer Advocate, and it's getting high ratings from everyone except for one dude that said his complaint is he drank too much and he got nauseous.
That reminds me.
Surprise!
That reminds me.
Good sir. Your rum is delicious, but drinking inside a bottle got ill.
Funny.
It reminds me of something I read this week on BuzzFeed. It was one of those lists of hilarious posts or whatever. And the post was a guy who ordered Taco Bell. And he said, just ordered Taco Bell. Thank you, Taco Bell, for a tasty treat or something like that. And Taco Bell replied to him in the comments and said, you're welcome, James. What did you get? And he replied, I got diarrhea, but it was worth it.
So wait. Does that mean he's got to psych himself up to go back? You know what I mean?
I don't know.
Do this. It's worth it. It's worth it.
That's amazing. So I got a Thrill List article here, or BuzzFeed article here, and this is about married couples and the tweets that they've put out, and they're pretty funny. So, for instance, one of them is the tweet is, "My wife and I play this fun game during quarantine. It's called 'Why Are You Doing It That Way?' And there are no answers."
That's good. That's good. Yeah, there's some great stuff out there. There's one whole list I saw of photos or videos of people's pets who are looking at them like, "Why are you not going to work?" It's, that type of thing. So, good stuff.
One is home quarantine status. My husband learned how to play Beat It on ukulele and tried to show me, but I'd locked myself in the bathroom.
That's good. Docs, I think the time has come.
I can't wait.
Let's taste some XO. It may take Ian a moment to get his open because it's
look what I'm
still in
doing.
the box. Yeah, I know.
This is like one of those unboxing videos. People watch these unboxing videos on
on YouTube
all the time. So I'm doing the unboxing version. The box is a nice, solid box. Barbados is considered the birthplace of rum by the greatest specialists today. Barbados produces one of the most aromatic rum. Plantation XO. I'm going to let you do that part, Docs. I'm going to go ahead and pull this out of here and let's go. Look at this.
I just wanted to mention while he's pulling that out and doing the unboxing video, according to the back of this bottle, this 20th anniversary, 2013 Gold Medal Rum Master UK, Gold Medal Rum XP Competition USA. Same thing for Rumfest Finland and Rum XP Competition USA in 2014. Gold Medal Berlin Rum Fest Germany and Rum XP Competition USA in 2015. And in 2016, Gold Medal Paris Rum Fest and Spirit of the Year Whiskey Exchange in the UK. Doc, that's a lot of awards for one rum.
You know what? It is. Well, and it's just one rum and just one set of awards. We just actually won double gold for Jamaica in the Spirits, this year's Spirits Challenge there. We, if you guys are ever lucky enough, I need to get you guys out to France sometime. Chris Hart and I are supposed to be there in a couple of weeks. But if you're ever lucky to get out there, take it to the chateau, and in the front hallway there is all the awards we've won for everything, and we're running out of room. It's just a cool thing to get these awards, and these are from legitimate spirit shows.
Dux, can you do me a favor? If that trip you mentioned does happen, would you explain to the people of France, because I know sometimes they have difficulty understanding Americans and how we come across, and they can be a bit critical, and I don't want them to think badly of our country in any way. So would you explain to them that Chris Hart is just not representative of all of us here in America?
So, hey, you know what? Let me put it this way. Wade Woodard's been there. He'll be fine, okay?
So, for anyone who doesn't know, these are both people who have been guests on the show. Chris Hart's one of our favorite guests, even though we've been informed by some commenters and critics of the show that nobody cares about him. But Wade Woodard is the Tater Talk whiskey dude, and he's been one of our more interesting guests as well. But we love poking fun at both of those guys. So Dox, talk to us about the XO. What is it about this that makes it so special?
Well, this was actually a surprise for Alexander. We created this one 10 years ago, and our blending staff decided to, our production staff, they put this rum together as a surprise for him to celebrate 20 years of Maison Ferrand being a spirit company. So it's not 20 years old. We're very transparent about everything we do. And so if you look on the 20, there's a TH there, so it's 20th. And we want to make that very clear that because I'll get to the age in a second though, but it was presented to him as something like congratulations on 2 decades of making spirits. And we're actually this past a year we passed our 30th anniversary. But it was such a great rum that they continued production with it. It is going to have a lot more of the continental aging than the 5-year. So I mentioned before, the 5-year is going to be 3.5 to 4 years in tropical aging in bourbon barrels, and the continental, which is going to be the cognac aging, is 1 to 1.5. This one, it's pretty much double all of that. We're talking 5 to 7 years, if I remember correctly, in the bourbon barrels, and up to 6 years in the cognac barrels. And it averages out anywhere from 8 to 12 years old. There's no age statement on there because when the blend's ready, the blend is ready. But it's the aging here. It's going to make this one such a richer rum. So when you notice on the nose, you're going to get a ton more of that coconut. That you get that little wisp from the 5-year.
From the 5-year, yeah.
Much more healthier dose of that. It's a very rich rum. It's a very dessertish rum. And it is sweeter than most of our rums. It has, if I remember correctly, I think it's 24 grams per liter on the dosage, where the 5-year was only 14, if I remember correctly. That's still significantly less than most dosage rums. I think our max is 26. And if I remember correctly, I think that might be the pineapple.
So Doc, this has... It has certainly more sweetness. I always hesitate to talk about sweetness with rums because there's a certain sweetness to any rum because of just what it's made from. But this has a bit more sweetness than, say, the 5-year, and it's got a definite, large increase in that sort of cinnamony sweetness. Reminds me almost of cinnamon toast that my mom used to make when I was a little kid. A little bit of butteriness, a little bit of sugariness, a little bit of cinnamon.
Butteriness, for sure. I get that. Now, I'm sorry, I just dripped it off a little bit now. I think I'm going to try Plantation 20th anniversary French toast this weekend. Make your own something there, pal. But
you pretty much nailed it. You took the words right out of my mouth. I want to point out, on the nose, it's not as it's a little more delicate on the nose than I was expecting.
Yes. More so than the 5
due to the double aging. I was expecting a little more on the nose, but it's actually quite delicate on the nose. The sweetness in this, it's very sweet compared to the other one. That's not to say it's huge. It's not like a liqueur or anything like that, but it's got a huge sweetness to it. And it's interesting because the heat in this one happens right before you swallow. On the very back of the palate it happens. Mm-hmm. And it's a pleasant heat that happens just right there, right in real time, instead of coming back like the last one does.
Yeah. It's 80 proof also, as a 5-year. They're both 80 proof.
There's a number of what you would call the much sweeter, the really less expensive rums that have more sweetness to them. The sweetness in this is different from that. It's not like and it might be a dosage thing. I don't know. You could speak to that, Docs, more than I could, but this doesn't come across like it's artificially sweet or too sweet, but it is definitely a step sweeter than a lot of the other rums in your portfolio.
No question about it. If you're a dry rum person that you don't, you want it as dry as possible, this is not the rum for you. But that's fine. That's our whole mission at Plantation. And you look behind me, there's up to 50 bottles or so. They all have their own personality, their own rum in every respect. So we make this wide range for everyone. So this is definitely on the polar side. It's definitely one of our sweetest rums, and that's by design. So where the sweetness is going to come from, and not only that healthier bit of dosage, but it's also that extra aging in the continental aging in the cognac barrels. Remember that dosage, what we're using it for, is there to enhance the flavors. So it's bringing out that sweetness that's being developed. The thing that you're talking about, the French toast, and when you say that French toast, now you can taste like I don't want to say the egg, but you can taste the egg around it. You know what I mean?
Almost the powdered sugar too, just a little like that. Powdered sugar has a very distinct flavor to it. This has a little bit of that on the aftertaste that I really enjoy. And I want to point out, it goes amazing with this cigar.
Oh, no question about it. No question about it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that rums it's really easy to pair a rum and a cigar because rum just lends itself to that flavor a lot.
Yeah.
But this particular rum, like I could see this going with almost any, even some of the bigger, really robust cigars. I could see this standing up very easily, and I'm going to test that this week. I'm going to put that very much to the test. But with this cigar, it brings out a lot of the really underlying nuttiness and toasty flavors in this cigar, and it kind of knocks out some of the spice, but it also makes it a little smoother. It's really interesting how they interact.
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, guys, you should try this in an old fashioned. We're talking about making over there. Yeah. Because I don't like a lot of simple syrup or extra sugar in my old fashions, because it's such a richer rum, it requires less. And just makes just a phenomenal. Oh my God, I just thought about this. It was Christmas time. We make homemade baklava. I need to bring out some this year. But I had some leftover baklava syrup, and so we were making old fashions with this and baklava syrup. I gave some to Rosewater and Clear Lake. Hopefully they still have some left. But the
baklava.
What's that? Did I bring
You're breaking up a little.
Baklava.
Okay, well there you go. I did bring you some. Okay, good. So anyway, but it makes a really great old fashioned.
Well, I can only imagine. Dux, this is obviously this has got more aging to it. What is this going to retail for in general?
Yeah, I saw it for about $55, I think, just the other day over at M&R on Grant Road. And that's typical. You're going to find it, anywhere from like the $50 to $55 range.
And just to make sure, because obviously we've got listeners and viewers everywhere, you guys are distributed pretty much around the U.S. and even around the world. Is that correct?
Oh God, yeah. This one in Germany, they love this one in Germany. We can't keep it in stock there. We sell. You know what our biggest country, our biggest market. They have their own Facebook page. Sweden. There's these guys, and it's not us. It's just the drinkers of Plantation. They have their own Facebook page. They're a group, and we sell more Plantation there than the bigger names that shall remain nameless. Yeah, they drink a lot of Plantation in Sweden.
Wow, that's so interesting. You would almost think the Swedes would be more vodka drinkers and things like that, but Plantation rum is big there. That's awesome.
They're not known for rum, but man, they get into us, man. Yeah. And it's kind of funny. You go online and look for Swedish Plantation page and go see. They're enthusiasts. They get into it. We got one. It's another page called Plantation Rum Addicts. Addict as in drug addict. And that one's based in France, I believe. I think the guy that runs it is French. But again, it's a very global community, and they just kind of try to outdo each other of like all their plantation collections and the ones they have and that sort of thing. It's a neat little fun community. It's all positive. There's no dog in another brands or anything like that. They just kind of enjoy our thing.
Dux, what's your best seller worldwide of your entire lineup?
Man. Probably the 3 stars, but that's going to be the 3-star rum and an original dark. That's just the bars, because the bartenders love us. Was it Drinks International 2 years in a row named us bartender's favorite, and that's of every category, not just rum. Number two, and last year in 2019, we got 2018, 2019, and I can't remember 2018, but in 2019, we got Bartender's Choice first place. Second place was Tanqueray Gin. That's a classic Hall of Fame gin, so we're proud of that. So bartenders love us. So it's hard to say what. And again, this one is like crazy in Europe right now, so it's probably right on their heels. But our biggest seller worldwide, it's probably a 3-star, I would imagine.
Yeah, that's great.
I
gotta tell you,
I want to point out I just finished my my 20th anniversary. I couldn't stop drinking it, and I went back to my Scotch ale, which is at 8.5%, and it makes it taste like fizzy water. Like that rum is so robust that it makes the Scotch ale taste like basic fizzy water.
Well, I polished off my glass and I went back to the Dragon's Milk, and it's a wonderful pairing. Like I don't know if I would have guessed that for a stout and a rum, but they just pair together really nicely. It brings out the creaminess in the Dragon's Milk, and almost gives it a milky flavor that I hadn't noticed as prominently before. There's
going to be cocoa notes in both for sure. So,
Wow.
What's interesting is even after a few sips of that Scotch ale, I still have that wonderful buttery aftertaste, cinnamony aftertaste from the rum, which is absolutely amazing.
Well, I got to say, Doc, I just want to repeat this. You have totally raised the bar for guests on the Skype version of the show. Thank you so much for sending over the rum. That was unnecessary but wonderful, and we appreciate it. And as I'm sure you know, we are big fans of your product, as you can see what Ian's doing there. And we just appreciate everything you do. But one of the things that I think I love most about Plantation Rum is the fact that you guys continue to add things. I mean, looking at your lineup of rums behind you there, it'd be easy, I think, for a company like you guys to go, all right, we've already got all these iterations. We don't need to keep expanding. But you do. You've got the Fiji coming, and you've got, I'm sure, other things that are in the pipeline as well. And I just think it's, for those of us who enjoy this spirit as much as we do, it's just so great to be able to try all of these new things, and to know that if they're coming as a Plantation product with that, wonderful little thing wrapped around them here, that they're going to be interesting and different and wonderful. So thank you.
I'll tell you, thank you. I mean, thank you, but I'll say this to our production team. We have a joke there. There's a cue line there of all of Alexander's ideas that the production team is like, okay, just let us get through this first, and then we'll work on that, because he's got all kinds of different ideas.
Nice.
He wants them to try with the rums, honestly, we were talking about putting out new things. We don't, as a spirits company, we are not trying to flood the shelves to take up space. We don't want our consumers saying, what now? They want them to say, what's next? Right. And we got a lot of coming. Right.
If we were able to make ourselves to Paris, to France at some point, do you think we could get Alexander to come on the show and talk rum?
Yes. Okay, I'll put it this way. If you can find a time where he's actually at the, he spends so much time in Barbados. Of course, right now, he's holed up with his wife, Debbie, and his kids at the chateau. Which, I want you to know something. I know that, and I'm not taking up too much time here. I want you to think that they're living in this big, grand chateau, because they are, but Alexander and Debbie live in one room, and the rest is all offices. So we do have a guest house in the back, which I'm sure where the kids are. So they're going a bit stir crazy also. They're just like us in the sense they can't wait to get back out in the world again. So, but for sure, if we can, if we're there together, or if you guys are there, and he's going to be in town, try and stop him. He would love to do it. Or next time he's in town, we can definitely bring him to you. But I like that idea. I'd love to do one in France. Yeah.
And we just to speak, I think I can speak on Ian's behalf here as well. We would have no problem chatting with him in Barbados as well. Once it's okay for us to travel. So.
We're just doing a world tour, man. We're doing a world tour. We'll make T-shirts, all right?
Yeah, I love it. Speaking of T-shirts,
I sense a part 1 and a part 2 episode.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it. Speaking of T-shirts, Docs, thank you for wearing that on the show, for supporting the
Rabbit's
bars.
got the gun on the north side. Rabbit's got the gun.
Rabbit's got the gun, and support. It's a wonderful way to support your favorite bars during this time when they maybe aren't open to sell you any alcohol. If you can go on their website, order a T-shirt, just do what you can to support them. We really feel like that's hugely important, whether it's craft breweries, distilleries, bars, anybody that you want to make sure is still here on the other side of this thing. Do what you can to support them now if you have the means to do so. And thank you to everybody for continuing to support this show and continuing to watch and listen during all of this craziness. We know that on the one hand, you got a little more free time. On the other, you're not necessarily at work sneaking us on one earbud. So we appreciate you finding us and taking the time. And thanks to Adam on the Wheels of Steel, by the way, who continues to make this happen every week. It's an awesome thing. Ian, wow. That's all I have to say. It's rum. Wow.
Man, that was a wonderful, wonderful thing.
Yeah, it really was.
I had to pour myself a second glass of that 20th anniversary.
I saw you doing that. And I'm about to follow suit as well. To everybody that we have been able to gather together around this week, thank you guys so much. We appreciate all of your support. And Docs, thank you again. By the way, when that Fiji's available here in the States, we certainly hope to see you maybe in the studio and do a little sampling. We're looking forward to trying it.
You will not be able to keep me out.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone, for being here and for supporting the show. And, guys, as we usually say at the end of the show, cheers.
Thank
Stay safe, everybody.